Hello everyone, this is CoreTV News on the Hour with Nifemi Oguntoye. Lagos State Governor Babatunde Fashola has denied allegation that his administration has diverted the World Bank loan meant for the development of public secondary school through the Oko Project program. Abiola Luwale's report is presented from our studios. Governor Fashola refuted the allegation at the launch of the book titled Lagos Eco Project, A Legacy of Excellence, while pointing out the need to build on the success recorded in the state secondary education. Fashola says government has ensured a purposeful use of the World Bank loan.
But perhaps you may have heard that some people have made unsubstantiated allegations against us that we have stolen World Bank money. Some of you may have heard it. So this occasion really is important because, as I've said from the very first beginning, in this government, our collateral is our collective integrity. We have nothing to hide.
Lagos has 667 public junior and secondary schools demanding for the attention of government. In order to catch up with such demand, Lagos State received a loan which has been instrumental to the development of the state public schools recorded since 2009.
The World Bank gave us a minimum project indicator to train 5,385 teachers on leadership and other core subjects. Within that 4 years, we trained 16,445 teachers, and with that means we accomplished 305% achievement.
The book is a compilation of the activities of the Lagos Eco Project since 1999. The People's Democratic Party has temporarily lost its bid to unseat 5 state governors that defected to the All Progressives Congress. A federal high court in Abuja ruled that the governors were not properly served with court summons and decided to postpone the matter indefinitely. Presiding Judge Justice Gabriel Kolawole held that PDP failed to follow procedures allowed by law in reaching the defendants since December 10, when the court action was instituted. The court agreed with defense lawyers that the defendants have not been served with court papers, and as such, the court cannot assume jurisdiction until the plaintiff carried out effective service of court summon. He thereafter adjourned the matter indefinitely. Cameroon aviation sources say a 4-seater plane flying from Nigeria to Gabon has disappeared. The plane owned by the U.S. company Global Aviation took off from Kano in northern Nigeria at 800 hours on Monday en route to Libreville in Gabon, where it was scheduled to arrive at 2300 hours after a stopover in Douala, Cameroon. However, the situation says the plane, with only the American pilot on board, did not make it to Douala. It added that the last contact the plane had with the control tower took place in Mongo, which is 2 hours flight from Cameroon and economic capital. Search and rescue operations led by Cameroon civil aviation authorities have also yielded no result. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Airspace Management Agency says the 4-seater light aircraft that allegedly got missing is not in the country's airspace. The managing director of NEMA, Ibrahim Abdusalam, says the aircraft had been handed over to the Cameroon Airspace Authority before the incident occurred within their airspace. President Goodluck Jonathan is soliciting the support of major players in northern Nigeria to end the spate of clashes between farmers and herdsmen in that part of the country. This, he noted, is necessary for the success of the transformation agenda of his administration. President Goodluck Jonathan, who was represented by Vice President Namadi Sambo at a conference in Kaduna, lamented that no state in northern Nigeria is free of conflict.
We expect this conference to come up with key resolutions that will enhance mutual coexistence, peace, and economic development, not only for pastoralists, but for the African continent in general. Let me assure you that at government level, we will study the outcome of this conference with a view to helping in fostering dialogue as a means of resolving disputes. And we urge participants to come up with actionable points that will help improve government policies and plans prosperous Nigeria.
The Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Abubakar, has decorated 9 newly promoted senior police officers with new ranks. The officers include the force PRO, Frank Kumba, who is now an Assistant Commissioner of Police. Pasama has details of the ceremony.
These officers and men are some of the over 210 police personnel found worthy to be promoted to the next rank. The police leadership considered them to have discharged their duties professionally at different levels, hence the need for more responsibility. Inspector General Muhammad Abubakar did not mince words when he addressed the newly promoted officers.
The fact that you are promoted means you have more challenges, you have added responsibilities, and your mannerism must change. If you are a commissioner of police and now you become an assistant inspector general of police, it means that you have to do more, you have to behave more, and we expect leadership in all respect of your actions.
One after the other, the senior officers were decorated with their new ranks.
You can't get it. You can't get it.
The newly officers promised to be more committed to their duties amidst challenges facing the image of the force.
Everybody, standard of innovation, standard of hard work, standard of good image. We promise you you're going to take it to higher heights. On behalf of the committees, we say thank you to you.
It will be recalled that the Police High Command recently promoted over 210 senior officers for carrying out their duties diligently. Pius Samuel, CoreTV News, Abuja.
Meanwhile, the Nigerian police have reviewed its performance in the just concluded Ekiti governorship election, vowing to improve towards the 2015 general elections. Rashid has more on the story.
The peaceful conduct of the June 21st governorship election and the handling of the post-election period by political gladiators have paved way for easy review. Leader of the police security detachment in Ekiti, Bala Nasarawa, says the peace enjoyed during the election rests largely on the professionalism of the police force.
As we are mindful of the familiar disruptions and occurrences that generally mar the conduct of similar elections, our proactive approach in ensuring adequate security for the conduct of the election made it practically impossible for hoodlums or criminals to break the law or violate the electoral process.
The police boss thanked all Ekiti people for their orderliness and the cooperation the police enjoyed in the easy discharge of their duty during and after the election.
I salute the good people of Ekiti State for their highly commendable, orderly and peaceful conduct as law-abiding citizens before, during and after the elections. I must submit that their cooperation with all security agencies was vital to the success recorded in the conduct of the whole electoral process.
Nasarawa pledged that the police will improve on the success recorded in Ekiti as the plan for the August 9 election in Osun and the 2015 general elections. He vowed to deal with anyone who wants to foment trouble in Ekiti, saying that the Nigerian police is still on ground.
On behalf of the Inspector General of Police, I wish to emphatically state that the standard witnessed in the conduct of a peaceful and orderly Ekiti State governorship election 2014 should be considered by all as a demonstration of the commitment and readiness of the Nigerian police force in ensuring the conduct of a very peaceful, credible, and acceptable 2015 general elections.
The Nigerian police has raised the standard with its conduct in the just concluded Ekiti election. Nigerians will expect nothing less as they prepare for the next general elections. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ado Ekiti.
The Independent National Electoral Commission is in an upbeat mood improved after the success of the governorship election in Ekiti State. It's now looking forward to a more credible outing across the country in 2015. INEC Chairman Atahiru Jega said this on the sidelines of a meeting with the leadership of registered political parties in Abuja.
The successful conduct of free, fair and peaceful elections in Ekiti is a good omen for the subsequent elections to come, and indeed for the satisfaction of the aspiration of Nigerians for a consolidated democracy. The coming election in Osun State, God willing, should on all counts be better, and the 2015 general elections must be the best.
Thanks for staying with us. And for the rest of the promise made in this congratulatory message to Governor-elect Ayodele Fayose, Ekiti State Governor Kayode Fayemi welcome his elected successor to the Oke-Barike Government House in Ado-Ekiti. Both leaders promised to ensure a smooth transition. Rashid was there and filed in this report.
The announcement of the result of the June 21st election, where former Governor Ayo Fayose emerged as the governor-elect, and the concession speech of Governor Kayode Fayemi, which came with a promise that he will be meeting his elected successor, seems to have caught the governor-elect Ayo Fayose by surprise.
I commend him. I pray that God Almighty will make every way straight and okay for him in life. It is, even if it takes years, it will come to an end one day. Even if it's 20 years. But the spirit behind it all is, let us move forward.
Responding, Governor Fayemi says his action was born out of his respect for the wish of the people and adherence to democratic principles.
People have said it's strange, it's un-African or un-Nigerian. Well, I don't know. I am a Democrat, and the will of the people is the basis of democracy. And if this is the will of the people, we do not have a choice than to respect their will.
They both agree to work together for the interest of all Ekiti people and to ensure a smooth transition process.
After now, both sides would set up a committee that will begin to work in earnest towards ensuring that the government transits seamlessly from the current one to the next.
I am to equally ensure that we have a smooth transition and continue to give him right of place like every other leader in the state, because yet unborn children of this state will still be governed after us.
With the matured handling of the Ekiti post-electoral process so far, it is hoped that this will be a continuous exercise for the 4 months period until October, when the governor is expected to hand over to his successor. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ado-Ekiti.
The People's Democratic Party has commended the outgoing governor of Ekiti State, Kayode Fayemi, for conceded defeat and congratulating the governor-elect Ayodele Fayose. Fayose emerged winner of the keenly contested Ekiti State governorship election, which held on June 21. A statement issued by the PDP National Publicity Secretary Olisa Meto described Fayemi as a true Democrat. PDP says Fayemi's action is a rare show of patriotism and sportsmanship. It stated that Fayemi had exhibited the spirit of sportsmanship as propagated and practiced by the PDP and President Goodluck Jonathan. Metu, however, says that credit must be given to President Jonathan for his insistence on free, fair and credible election at all levels. It thanked the people of Ekiti State and the entire nation for the massive support given to the PDP. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has described media reports that it had dropped corruption case against the governor-elect of Ekiti State, Ayodele Fayose, as untrue. Head of Media and Publicity Wilson Huwujaren says that the recent election of Fayose had not affected the ongoing trial of the former Ekiti State governor for alleged corruption. He stressed that the FCC had not suspended the ongoing trial of the former governor of the Federal High Court, Ado-Ekiti. Huwujaren says the case would come up for hearing at the Federal High Court, Ado-Ekiti, on July 15, 2014. He stated that the immunity clause only provided a cover from prosecution for the president, vice president, sitting governors and their deputies, and not a governor-elect. Huwujaren added that the case against Fayose has made substantial progress as the commission has called 2 witnesses to testify in the case. He said the issue of whether the case against the governor-elect would be withdrawn or not when he takes over as a governor was a matter for the court to decide. Committee for the Defense of Human Rights has called for the institutionalization of true democracy in Nigeria. It called for the liberation of Nigerians from poverty, oppression and manipulation. Omotayo Alo has details.
The Committee for the Defense of Human Rights says Nigeria is yet to reflect true democracy 15 years after an uninterrupted civil rule. It added that it would be wrong for Nigerian leaders to take lightly what late Abiola fought and died for. They stated the importance of rebutting the principles of the pioneer of true democracy.
We want to go on street to remind the nation and the Nigerian people that June 23 was the date they annulled Chief MKO Abiola's victory.
We decided at the level of signature that June 23rd should be remembered as a National Liberation Day, as June 12th will remain the Democracy Day.
But we are in a situation where the state is not addressing critical issues. If you really want to promote peaceful democratic dispensation, MKO Abiola is somebody all governments in Nigeria must embrace, from local government, state government to the federal government. Otherwise, we are kidding.
Commenting on the outcome of Ekiti elections, comrades say,
if you see what happened in Ekiti, we have immediately constituted a committee to actually look into what happened. It shows we have a long way to still go, to still liberate the people further from their bondage of ignorance, so that they will not continue to rattle for the devil's alternative.
When the people of Ekiti want to, they speak, they said they need a change in the leadership, and they change. And the election, in fact, to my surprise, it went free and fair. It's the only election that I've ever put in the history of Nigeria where the observer, the local and international observers are speaking in the same voice.
The victory in Ekiti is not issue of party. It is personal. If you listen to what Fayose has said, if you listen to what Fayemi has said, you will understand clearly that people's power has come to stay in Ekiti.
Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly, Adeyemi Kuforiji, says the government is aware of the demands of the citizenry and would do everything to make the citizens happy.
I want to reassure you, we identify with you in this struggle. We ask for the total freedom for the Nigerian person, wherever a Nigerian finds himself. We want freedom for our people. We want the human rights as enshrined in our Constitution to be upheld by all and sundry.
The Committee for the Defense of Human Rights have once again made their demands known to the government that what they want is true democracy in Nigeria. And their message to citizens of Nigeria is not to sell their rights on the platter of money or any material gratification. Omotayo Alo, CoreTV News, Lagos.
Egypt is under pressure to pardon the 3-jailed Al Jazeera journalist. John Megan after this break for details of that story and more. Don't go away.
From time immemorial, women have birthed life, shaped character, and by extension, influenced the society. Moremi of Ife, Emoten of Benin, Queen Aminat of Zaria, all women of influence and power.
Whether it's before election, after election.
How ironical. Women being so powerful, yet have few grounds in decision making.
They see you as a wife, and I see you as a wife to a man.
We are talking women in politics.
A woman will be bold enough to stand up and say, I want to become president of Nigeria.
Only on CoreTV News.
CoreTV News now provide a platform for live coverage of political rallies and electioneering campaign from anywhere in Nigeria. Political news stories, political editorial reviews, political discussions, personality profile, People's Parliament from the National, State and Local Government Assembly. Contact us now on 0803-471-8550 or 0803-724-9733. 01453-3407.
Our 24-hour news station.
glad to have you back. Egypt is under mounting pressure to pardon 3 Al Jazeera journalists, including Australia's award-winning Peter Gress, jailed in a ruling that sparked global outrage and fears of a growing media crackdown. Gress and Egyptian-Canadian Mohammed Father Fahmy each got 7-year terms in a Cairo court, while Egyptian producer Bahar Mohammed received 2 sentences of 7 and 3 years. 11 defendants tried in absentia, including 1 Dutch journalist and 2 Britons, were handed 10-year jail terms, also on charges of aiding the blacklisted Muslim Brotherhood and spreading false news. Australian Foreign Minister Julie Bishop says the case is politically motivated and that she won't petition Sisi.
To all journalists in Egypt. This was a highly publicized court case, and the evidence that the prosecutor actually showed no crime. There was no evidence of any crime committed. These journalists were just doing their job. And if respected international journalists can be sentenced to 7 and 10 years in prison simply for doing their job, that really sends a scary message about what can people report in Egypt. The space is shrinking. This is actually even worse than the Mubarak era, where there were restrictions, but people were able to report. Now we're seeing really a clear signal to scare away journalists. Today that is very intimidating, that is very much geared towards supporting Sisi and bashing the Muslim Brotherhood, and actually also bashing any form of dissent. The US should suspend any military aid to Egypt until it is properly certified that Egypt is on its way to a democratic transition. Other countries, including the European Union, should actually condemn what is happening, and instead of welcoming simply that Sisi's election was democratic and that Egypt is going in the right direction, when all the evidence points that actually Egypt is going backwards, and that Egypt today is a more repressive place than Egypt under Mubarak over the last few years.
United States Secretary of State John Kerry has pledged intense support for Iraq against the threat of a major militant offensive pushing towards Baghdad from the north and west. Kerry met with Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki and other Iraqi leaders to urge a speeding up of the government formation process in order to face down the insurgents. Maliki says the danger of the crisis represents a threat not only to Iraq, but to regional and international peace. Iraqi security forces are struggling to hold their ground in the face of an insurgent onslaught that has seized major areas of 5 provinces, displaced hundreds of thousands of people, and sparked fears the country could be torn apart.
It is a moment of decision for Iraq's leaders, and it's a moment of great urgency. Iraq faces an existential threat, and Iraq's leaders have to meet that threat with the incredible urgency that it demands. Support will be intense, sustained, and if Iraq's leaders take the necessary steps to bring the country together, it will be effective. I heard about that verdict today. I was so concerned about it and frankly disappointed in it that I immediately picked up the telephone and I talked to the Foreign Minister of Egypt, and I registered our serious displeasure at this kind of a verdict under the circumstances of where we find ourselves today. Now, today's conviction is obviously, it's a chilling and draconian sentence. And it's deeply disturbing to see in the midst of Egypt's transition. The success of Egypt going forward will depend on the protection of universal human rights. And it will depend on a real commitment to embracing the hopes of the people there that they're going to see a judicial system that is responsive and modern and not one trapped in ideology or in this kind of extreme decision.
And that wraps it on CoreTV News this hour. Do join us again at the top of the hour for more stories at 9:45 for the primetime news, actually. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. Thanks for being there.